right. Welcome back to the OffBeat Sports Podcast, presented by True. Welcome to the show, Harry and Nolan. Bozy couldn't make it tonight, so they're going to fill in.
How's it going?
Welcome to the show, boys.
Thanks for letting me be here, boys.
No problem. All right, so we're going to start going over the details of the Nets trade that blew up the NBA yesterday. So it ended up being a 4-team trade between the Rockets, Nets, Pacers, and Cavs. So we'll go over what each team got, and then we can go into with opinions and start debating stuff. All right. So the Rockets, in exchange for James Harden, they received Victor Oladipo. Well, technically, they received Karis LeVert, but then they traded him to the Pacers afterwards. So in the final, they got Victor Oladipo, Rodions Kurucs from Cavs, Dante Exum from the Cavs, 4 unprotected first-round picks from Brooklyn, that is 2022, 2024, 2026, and then the Milwaukee 2022 pick, and 4 first-round unprotected pick swaps in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. The Nets only got James Harden, which obviously in itself is a big pickup. The Pacers got Karis LeVert and 2023 second-round pick from Houston. The Cavs got Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince. So that's the details of the trade. We're gonna get into it and let's talk.
Yeah, it's a big handful right there. Honestly, the Nets giving up the house for Harden, like I like their aggressiveness, getting a top 5 star player like James Harden. But my first reaction was like, didn't they learn from the Celtics trade a few years back with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Jason Terry? Like that did not work out for them at all. Yeah, they were contenders for like maybe a season or two, but like then that blew up and they were like in the bottom of the East for years. And I feel like they just didn't learn their lesson. And I feel like this is really going to come back to bite them. Honestly, I don't think they're going to get past the Lakers and LeBron James.
See, I think this could either – I mean, I get what you're saying, like the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett thing, but they were actually at the end of their careers, and we got rid of them just in time. But I think in this situation, James Harden's still in his prime. He's still nasty. But my problem with it is he could end up being a cancer to the team, just like Kyrie is. So Kyrie's disappeared. So right now you're working with KD and Harden. In turn, if Harden can get is still crazy, he might end up going missing with the Kyrie. They may be gone. KD's left by himself because when Kyrie's been gone, the only people helping him have been Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen. Both of those two are gone. So KD's alone, and what if KD gets hurt? Then maybe if James Harden's there, then it's just James Harden, and you're back to the Rocket situation where it's solo ball with James Harden.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's easy to say the Nets are now the top contender in the East.
Yeah.
So if they were going for wins and championships now, fantastic, great idea. But the huge problem with all of that is just like Nolan said, take 3 years from now into effect. What's the team going to look like? They might still be on their contract. They might still be there. Maybe they can pick them up from cap space because they'll be able to offer them buried contracts, but they'll be getting older. KD will no longer probably be a good aspect because he's 34 right now, 35. He's 32. Okay.
Coming off of a potential career-ending injury, that's a big scare in the back of your mind.
Well, I think each of them at least probably has 4 years left in them, to be honest.
100%.
4 good years.
Kyrie's, I feel like he's always injured and he's always out in space. He's the most unreliable player
but when he's there, he's good. That's the problem. He's good when he's there, but he's not. He's off the grid right now. That cannot happen. If you're the Nets organization, that can't happen. If you're the Nets, you got to shut that down. You got to be like, we can't deal with this BS. That's ridiculous. That's
what the Nets are going for. Right. What the Nets are going for right now is the 2016 Warriors, and if they get that kind of franchise out of this, which is looking quite possible that they do, they are a big threat to every single team in their conference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that 2016 Warriors team was normal people.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it was KD, Steph, who was one of the like everyone loves, like he's a nice guy, like he's not like a problem guy. Clay, who's quiet, not a problem guy. Draymond kind of tried starting problems with KD, but then they ended up working it out. I mean, you have Kyrie, who's been known to be a literal cancer in the locker room, absolutely toxic, and like he's screwed with the Celtics. Like he's already screwing the Nets. Like he's gone. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I
If you-
don't see.
if you want me to be honest here, of all 4 teams in this trade, the Cavaliers won.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that to
The
Nolan.
Cavs won. The
Dude,
Cavs won. They got
I swear
Cavs-
the Rockets won. I mean, I
Dude,
like
they-
what the Cavs did with all those first round picks going Houston's way.
I
like
think
what
the
they-
Rockets won. I think the Rockets legitimately won the trade because like they
Yeah.
were actually like, but the Cavaliers literally like
Gave
they-
up nothing.
A+ trade. They got rid of Dante Exum and Rodion Caruso, who are literally useless to their team currently, and they picked
Dante
up
Exum,
Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince, both solid, good players.
Dante Exum has always been a bench player his entire career. They have Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. Both
Yeah, they don't need 'em.
fantastic players. Both fantastic players. I don't know if you've used them in 2K. I don't know if you've seen Colin Sexton this year. I don't know if you've seen what they've been doing in college, but they are fantastic players. They're both small guards, understandable, but that now they have arguably one of the best defensive centers in the league at 22 years old, Jared Allen, to add to that roster. I'm getting a call. I'm sorry. My bad. Unprofessional. But I got a call.
Do you know what's crazy is they're gonna pair him with Kevin Love, and probably Drummond's gonna go to the bench, or Jared Allen,
No,
Jared Allen's
no.
gonna come, or Jared Allen's gonna come off the bench.
If Jared Allen comes off the bench, which is looking like what it's going to be, because they still have Andre Drummond on the team, so it's still going to look the whole roster is going to look relatively the same. But the bench,
Well, and
is
they also
now
have
terrifying.
they also have JaVale McGee coming off the bench.
Yeah. the bench is
That's
now
crazy, too.
terrifying.
Well,
They can
and you
literally
have
run the Twin Towers at the power forward and the center with Jared
and
Allen.
then you have Isaac Okoro at the small forward, who's
and he's
been
looking
great this season.
fantastic right now.
Yeah.
He's still young and he's playing great. But
I
if we're taking it on the Pacers side of the trade, because we talked about the Rockets, we talked about the Cavs, we didn't talk too much about the Pacers. Well, we didn't talk too much about the Rockets actually. We talked about the Nets a whole lot. But if we're looking at the Pacers side of the trade, Karis LeVert is a great player.
That's a great. They got a second round pick out of that. Like second rounds are like it's a hit or miss. Like it's usually a miss, but like you still got to pick out of that. You got to pick and a great young player that's probably equal to Victor Oladipo right now, but he's younger and he has a higher ceiling. And you just got him because you're dumping off Victor Oladipo, who people are questioning whether he was going to be there by the trade deadline anyway.
Right now, Victor Oladipo has a high floor but a low ceiling. The difference is Karis LeVert has a high floor, but still a very high
Oladipo's ceiling just keeps dropping.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think he's past his prime.
Me
I wouldn't
too,
go that
honestly.
far. I think he's still got a solid 4 good quality
Yes,
years.
but I think
just under all-star
he's not going to the All-Star game again. That All-Star year was his prime.
He's still a good quality, above average player, and I think he'll mesh.
Yes, but I'm saying I don't think his ceiling's even as close to as high as Karis LeVert's now.
Oh,
Not
if
at
I were
all.
to pick one and release one, I'd pick LeVert 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's like I think the Rockets messed up trading Karis LeVert to the Pacers.
I think they probably should have kept him.
Because don't get me wrong, fantastic trade by the Rockets. They got a lot of picks. They got a lot of good assets out of that trade.
Why did the Rockets do that? They didn't have to involve that at all.
No, they didn't have to.
Why did they do that?
They probably want another veteran presence to go with John Wall because they don't want John Wall.
They don't need one. They have DeMarcus Cousins too.
To run the whole show.
Yeah.
But you have DeMarcus Cousins and Eric Gordon too. And Eric Gordon. Those are two veteran presences.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're both solid players.
For the right mind of me, I can't understand why they'd give up Karis LeVert for Oladipo.
I never really thought it. I was thinking that was how the 4-team trade worked, but that was actually after the fact. So why would the Rockets
involved them afterwards?
I don't think that was a good idea for them. But I mean, I
Me
guess
neither.
Pacers won, and Pacers one of the. Honestly, I see every team getting a win out of this except for the Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Nets get a
Yeah.
Isn't
win,
that crazy?
but they got
Isn't that crazy
there's a
to think
big if
about?
on their win. That's
They
a
got
big
Yeah.
if on their
now,
win.
but not later.
Isn't that crazy to think about? The Nets organized this entire trade, and they're the ones that are looking like the least gained from it. And that's
Yeah.
now I'm no shade towards James Harden's name. We all know he's easily right now, currently the most proficient scorer in the league. He scores.
Yeah.
He's very accurate, very aggressive, very dominant when he's on the floor. And now when you have KD, Kyrie, and James Harden all on the floor together, that's terrifying.
Well,
That's
and
like
not only did the Rockets win on like they're getting the picks and even Oladipo, they won on getting rid of that like toxicity in their locker room that has been happening since the beginning of the season. Like everybody on that Rockets team, they've been like just annihilating Harden in their interviews as of late.
Dude,
like
last
getting
interview
rid of
James
him,
Harden had as a Rocket. The last interview
honestly,
James
that's a
Harden had
win
as
in
Rocket.
itself. Yeah, that's a win in itself. Like
Getting
just
rid of
getting
that-
rid of Harden, getting rid of that.
Getting rid of that attitude that's just like fuck this, fuck that. I hate being here. Like that's
Yeah.
great. Let's bring another guy.
Obviously, you don't want to get in that. Like, you don't want to get in that situation to begin with to like lose a player
No.
like Harden. But like the fact that it was like that, that's a win to be able to get rid of that. Like they were struggling to find any. Like they wanted more for him, to be honest. Like they wanted they wanted Simmons. Like they were looking for something else. Like but they didn't get it. Like but they still like. I don't know.
They got Oladipo. They got Oladipo, who's a very, 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 very good shooting guard in the league right now. But they looked very much so in that trade to build towards the future. So why get rid of the future? They just traded away Karis LeVert, who's looking very much like he's going to be a dominant force in the league in a few years, if not now.
Mhm.
So why trade the future you just traded for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't
That's
know.
just
pretty much got rid of their two only good quality young guys. I feel.
Yeah.
Like Harry Nolan and Karis
And I think
LeVert.
I don't know. I think the
I really
Nets are
think
gonna
that's
have
what
this good I think they're gonna have this good 2-3 year period, maybe 4, and then they're going right back to the bottom.
Hey man, you know what? At the end of the day, if the Nets win at least a championship in the next 3 years, they won. You know what? I'll give it to them. They won. They won.
But they
If
lose.
if they can get a
They
championship,
lose picks. They lose all their picks till 2027.
but you know what? A ring is a ring.
But
at
I'm
the end
saying,
of the
which
day-
means they won't be good again. They probably won't be good again till like 2030 for another like good 10 years. Like I mean, like 10 years from now. But like
which is scary. Which is scary to think about, like in a current sense. But at the same time, it's like, well, you just kind of secured your spot at the top of the league, and the way I look at it, the only real threat to them right now is the Lakers.
I don't see them getting
Now-
at all. I really
Now
don't.
let's talk.
Honestly, I don't even think the Nets are even going to get one championship out of this trade because Kyrie is unreliable. James Harden is not committed to basketball right now. He's committed to all the off the court stuff. I don't think he's a guy you can rely on either. And then Kevin Durant's not getting any younger. He's 32, getting older, coming off of an injury. I mean, he's by far the best player.
Well, he's been killing it this
He's
year.
the only guy I would
Absolutely.
only feel comfortable with on that team that I can rely on in the playoffs.
I agree with that. Because you got to look at how Kyrie's played in the playoffs when he doesn't have LeBron on his team. And you got to look at James Harden's run in the playoffs. When they were top of the league, they got absolutely smacked by the Trailblazers with really just Damian Lillard.
Yeah,
Well, they were a game away from the finals a few years ago. They took it to Game 7 with Golden State.
Yeah. And then Golden
what
State had KD and Curry. And
What I was-
that's his idea right now.
A funny thing I read, I think I read it this morning. It was like Kyrie didn't want to be the Robin to LeBron, but now he's turned into the Alfred to Harden and KD. He's on the Butler because he's the third best player on that team.
Yeah.
Like and that's crazy to even think. Like
think about what you just said right there. Kyrie Irving is the third best player on his team.
And he's the second best point guard in the league, or third.
What do they
probably
have?
third.
Whoa. Second best point guard, that's a stretch, man.
Third, probably the third best point guard.
Yeah.
When normal. When normal. Him and Damon go back and forth just because like Kyrie is so good when he like when he's there, but like
I made a
when he-
TikTok about it.
Yeah.
About it.
All right. Well, I guess we can wrap it up there. Yeah. So I mean, NBA's crazy right now. I guess we'll have to see once this COVID thing gets figured out.
Right.
We'll see where everyone lies at the end of the season. See if the Celtics can compete. All right. Well, thank you, boys, for hopping on with me.
Always.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Be sure to go check out our sponsors, Celsius Energy Drinks and Drink True. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Thanks for having us.
Right.